This is a session about observations as we understand them in needs-based communication, or NVC. Starting with a slide that reminds us that observations are one of the four core parts of a needs-based communication expression. And in particular, observations give us a context for what we're about to say or engage with. It gives us some sense of what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're remembering, or even what we're imagining in our own heads is going on at some particular time that we want to bring attention to as we express our feelings and needs, or as we connect to the feelings and needs in others. As we understand each of these four parts, it's important that we understand the integrity that they have in terms of creating this connection, the connective quality that is intended with needs-based communication. So for observations, this quality that is so vital is that they be free of any trace of blame or judgment or evaluation. There are people I know who learn this who really struggle with that as they try to make observations and leave out those parts of our very everyday speech that express some sense of judgment or blame. One metaphor that I often use for observations is that it's just what a video camera would capture, where they're at the scene as things are going on. So it'd be the words that are spoken by people, it'd be the behaviors, the movements, the actions of people in terms of what are going on. So as we create language around observations, what we want to do is really come very close to just what would be described by a video camera as we are describing the context that we want to engage in. Okay, so let's look at some examples of observations. So we can look at this statement. If you turn in your report at all, it's always late. Is that an observation, as we have just described it? Well, I have some concerns about it. I hear just in the way that it is expressed, I hear definitely some blame, some judgment in there. The word late in particular stands out, certainly a perception of how someone's showing up. The word always certainly suggests that it's vague, it's not specific, and words like always and never we need to be extraordinarily careful with in terms of observations, because if there's even one exception, that will be remembered. And of course, then it's not an observation. And just the phrase, if you turn in your report at all, it has this sort of edgy blame to it as well. So what might it look like if we express what this person intended as an observation? So your weekly project update arrived in my inbox on Wednesday at 1:20 p.m. this week, on Thursday at 9:05 last week, and I didn't receive the report at all the week prior to that. Notice the specificity around each day when the report, or each week when the report was received, and even specificity around when the report wasn't received. All right, let's look at another example. You don't care about employees. If I hear this, there's a lot I don't know. I hear really just a judgment someone is throwing out there. I'd really want to understand what's the observation behind this. So perhaps if we guessed, an observation could be, when you change the policy so that we lose any accrued vacation at the end of the year, and then of course we could go ahead and express more to that. So we are being very specific about what happened that stimulated this sort of comment from this person, you don't care about employees. All right, here's another one. Sam talks too much during our meetings. Is this an observation? Well, this too much certainly is a perception. During our meetings is very vague. So let's see what it might look like if we made this an observation. Sam spoke for about 15 minutes during our meeting last Friday. All right, it's very specific, says when, both on Friday, and how long he spoke, for about 15 minutes. All right, let's look at one more example here. Bob does great work. Is this a statement an observation? Well, this idea of great work clearly is an evaluation or a judgment. Let's look at perhaps how it might be translated as an observation. Bob's team met or exceeded the performance goals of each milestone of the Smith project. Again, it gets very specific that their performance goals, that his team met or exceeded the goals on each of the milestones, and is also very specific about what project there. So it brings it into the specificity. So when we speak about observations and needs-based communication, remember they're free of evaluation. We try to be specific around the observations we make. It's just what a video camera would capture. Thank you, and this ends our session on observations.